Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the podcast, Field Goals and Forecasts. From inside the radio station at 88.3 The Buzz, St. Bonaventure, New York, I'm Ryan Adio, as always, joined by my lovely co-host, Mr. James Derrick. The Week 11 of the NFL has just concluded, just been done. It was an all right week. I got nothing really bad to say about it.
No, I honestly, you tend to have a pessimistic outlook on the weeks of football.
I suppose that's true.
I think there's a lot of good one-score games, a lot to recap over. Some management changes.
Oh yeah, I mean we'll get into the news.
Lots of
First,
stuff.
I do want to say this is our Thanksgiving episode.
Yes.
James will not be here next week when we record, so I decided we're going to do Thanksgiving a little bit early, but we're bringing it to you. This is the Thanksgiving episode. Of course, though, we're going to talk about news, game recaps, fantasy, as per usual, and then we'll get into the Thanksgiving special here. But let's start with the news. I think the biggest news to come out of this week, and it's close between the two big news here, the Giants bench Daniel Jones. He is now their emergency QB. I mean, do you want to talk about that at all? I mean, I feel like we saw this coming.
Yeah, I mean, you see it coming. You need to develop, I guess, what you have behind Daniel Jones, maybe. I'm not sure what the thought process is. I'm not sure if I totally understand benching him, right? You know, I can understand moving him to QB2, you know, in a backup role where he can come in and prove himself, you know, if he has to. But
no,
he's third-string quarterback.
He's listed as the emergency QB, and I think the big reason is that if he gets hurt, the Giants have to pay him $23 million guaranteed in his contract.
Gotcha.
That's the biggest reason here. Is that the Giants said, if we put this guy out there again, he gets hurt, we got to pay him a lot more money than we really want to.
Yeah.
And he's really not that good.
No,
I mean,
he's not.
At the end of the day, he's not that good. So, next. The other very big news, the Jets fired their GM. Joe Douglas is gone. Do you want to take some? I have a very strong opinion on this. So if you...
All right. I mean, Jets GM Joe Douglas probably doesn't have a great record with the Jets in his career. I doubt. Yeah. I'm not sure how long he's been the GM.
He's been there since 2019.
Since 2019, so I can't imagine it's been a great record. However, I will say, I kind of wanted to echo what I've seen on social media, and that's kind of just that he has brought them a handful of really good players.
He has done a lot for them.
The roster doesn't seem to be a problem as much as it is maybe one person.
Yeah.
Maybe as much as it is coaching staff, maybe. You know, think about drafting Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson.
Yeah.
You know, those are all those are great moves. And, you know, you bring in Devontae Adams, you bring in Aaron Rodgers. I feel like he's done everything he's been asked to do. On the other hand, they also haven't won. Ryan?
Yeah. He's gone all out. And we're seeing the repercussions a little bit. But I want to talk about the good versus the bad here.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Joe Douglas. I think the Jets draft really well. Like, if you know, I love the draft. I love looking into that. He has drafted really well. I'll go over. Do you want his bad moves or his good moves first?
We'll start with the bad, end with the good.
Okay. So, obviously, Mekhi Becton, not a good pick in, 2020? That was a round one, not a good one. Same year, he went and got Le'Veon Bell, which at the time felt like a good move, but did not work out. The 2021 draft was very rough for him. Zach Wilson did not work out. Elijah Vera Tucker did not work out. Elijah Moore did not work out. But Elijah Moore was decent for them. He just never got anything going.
Yeah.
Honestly, under his bad category, I also have Aaron Rodgers.
You can put that there.
He's come in and been a tornado. I feel like he's right in the middle.
Yeah.
He's either good or bad, and I wouldn't label him as a good move. And then Mike Williams signed him, got rid of him, kind of a weird one. Anyway. But his good moves, and this is a much longer list, so strap in here.
Okay.
2019, when he first got there, he drafted Quinnen Williams, one of the best defensive ends in the league.
Yeah.
That was round 1. In round 5, he got Blake Cashman, who's moved around but has been a very solid middle linebacker. They got Carl Lawson in free agency. He was pretty good for them for a little bit. 2022, round 1, he got Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson, and Jermaine Johnson, all in round one.
All in round one.
Yeah, those are 3 studs.
That's 3 hits in the first round.
And then in round 2 of the same draft, he got Breece Hall.
Wow.
So just an amazing 2022 draft.
Wow.
They went and got Laken Tomlinson in free agency. In 2023, they drafted Will McDonald. Again, one of the top tacklers and sack leaders in the NFL right now. He worked out for them.
Mm-hmm.
Quincy Williams, the linebacker, Quinton Williams' brother, is that right?
I'm actually not sure.
I don't know. But they got him in free agency. He's been very good for them. 2024, round 3 and 4, they got Malachi Corley and Braylon Allen. 2 guys, rookies this year, but 2 guys that I really like. He went and got Devontae Adams. He went and got Javon Kinlaw. He went and got Chuck Clark. All very solid pieces in the offense and defense, and they fired him. I don't know. I don't think it's enough to fire him. I've seen much worse GMs, but maybe they're just flushing the organization, kind of just starting from the beginning.
Maybe. I mean, it's hard, right? It's really hard if you're a GM and you've made so many good moves and you're in this position. However, you also have to think that really this year the only thing that he kind of missed on is Aaron Rodgers not panning out. And quarterback is a big thing to miss on, right? But, Aaron Rodgers was supposed to have that adjustment year, that year to adjust to becoming a Jet last year, and that's become this year.
Yeah.
And, no telling what Aaron Rodgers could bring to the table next year or even possibly, but we might see a much better team next year just because, they've had time to adjust and stuff, So I feel like they may have done this too soon.
Yeah.
Especially, maybe at least let him draft a couple more guys.
Yeah.
Right?
If nothing else, he's done a very good job drafting. I think, they go and get a new GM. They go and get a new head coach. They're looking to be one of the top draft picks in the upcoming draft.
Mm-hmm.
Will they go QB? New GM, new coach, new QB? I mean, it makes sense. It would make sense to do.
It would make sense, and, you've seen Jordan Love kind of have some time under Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
And then, you draft another QB who won't play as long as Aaron Rodgers isn't injured, and then they have some time to develop. Maybe it wouldn't be the worst move in the world.
I wouldn't say every single quarterback, but 90% of very good quarterbacks in this league have sat for at least some period of time.
Mm-hmm.
You look at Lamar Jackson. You look at Patrick Mahomes. You look at Josh Allen. He sat for he sat for 4 games-ish.
Yeah.
But still, he sat,
Something that Tom Brady echoes every time it comes up is that it's so crucial to sit and learn for the first year, even, 2, however long that it needs to be.
Maybe Michael Penix will be very good. I mean, that's the hope,
Yeah.
is you sit them behind a guy who's very experienced, they get out there, they play very well.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what the Jets would love to do. We'll see if they actually do it. Aaron Rodgers would probably be very pissed off at them if they do, but you got to look past that. He's not the leader on the team.
He seems to be pissed at pretty much everything the Jets do anyways, so, Aaron Rodgers, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, anything but him for the blame. But let's move on. Let's go to the best game, I think, this week.
Come on.
At least the one with the most riding on it. The Chiefs and the Bills. The Bills come out of this one 30-21, beating the Chiefs by 2 scores. They were undefeated. They are now, 9-1, the Chiefs are?
Yeah.
Yeah, 9-1 Chiefs. If this is the Thanksgiving episode, I'm very, very thankful for this. What do you have on this one?
That's exactly what I think the Bills can do to the Chiefs every time we've played them. It usually comes down to, a misplay here or there, or, someone fumbles after they catch a pass that gains 10 yards or something. The Chiefs always manage to make some kind of big play. But if you can get through a game without that, the Bills can replicate this. I think they're certainly capable of doing this over and over and over again. And Josh did it without Keon Coleman playing. He had very limited help. Still threw 1 bad interception, but as far as I'm concerned,
I don't know if you would call it a bad interception.
Looked bad live for sure, and then you check it out and you say, he probably should have kept running. Dawson Knox, I'm pretty sure.
It was Dawson Knox, and he just stopped on the route, which you don't do.
But still, I think the defense played wonderfully. And Kansas City didn't seem to be able to take any shots downfield or even run the ball as well as they usually do against Buffalo. So that's definitely something that we've been game planning. But I was very happy with the outcome of the game, obviously, as a Bills fan.
When the Bills defense steps up and says, hey, maybe we can stop this run thing, they do look pretty well. I mean, I think that Kareem Hunt did run the ball very efficiently on the ground. 14 carries, 60 yards. That's decent. That's pretty good.
That is still good.
But they didn't go to him very often. We didn't give them the chance to go to him very often because they were down most of the game.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what you do against a really good team like Kansas City. You strike first. You don't give them the ball. You take all of that. So, you're looking at this. You're saying, okay, right now we are 23-21, and it's 4th and 2. We're in our own territory. Do we really want to give Patrick Mahomes the ball right now to go down, kick a field goal, and win the game?
No.
That's the simple option. It's just no. You go for that on 4th and 2. Josh takes it in his own hands, breaks 3 tackles, goes for a touchdown. Absolutely electric moment.
Mm-hmm.
What does this mean for Allen and being the MVP of the league? I mean, that is an MVP play.
Yeah, it was an MVP play, and I don't even I haven't even checked the box score for Josh Allen yet. I don't even know if he necessarily lit up the box score, but I think if you watch that game and you see how the Bills were unable to run the ball. I think James Cook ended with almost like 20 yards or something like that. It came down to a lot of 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, even 3rd and 10.
Yeah.
Josh Allen picked up first downs on almost every single one of those, and then you see him seal the game on 4th down. He knows what to do in those pressure-packed moments, and he made the play every time. That is what an MVP quarterback does. They might not light up the stat sheet, which he certainly is capable of doing, but those long 3rd downs, you don't see a team convert so many of those against a great defense like Kansas City without an MVP caliber quarterback, which Josh Allen certainly is.
So, I mean, he didn't light up the score sheet. We're not seeing like what we see out of like Joe Burrow, for example, where he's dropping like 5 touchdowns a game. But Josh was 27 for 40, 262, a touchdown. Of course, that interception, which I don't want to put on him, wasn't 100% his fault. But he also led the team in rushing. He had 12 carries for 55 yards and a touchdown. A touchdown to seal the game, pretty much.
I think he would have led the team in rushing if you only counted that last play where he scored the touchdown.
You would have been Cook. You would have been close because Cook only had 20 yards. Like
20 yards.
But 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, two touchdowns.
Efficient on the goal line, but not efficient everywhere else, pretty much.
Yeah, don't get it twisted. Bills put up 30 on this Chiefs defense. They made it very hard.
Yeah.
Very, very, very hard.
And, obviously the Chiefs have the best rush defense in the league, so that's kind of what we expected. But James Cook did light it up in fantasy, if nothing else.
Yeah.
But the receivers, however, did not light it up in fantasy. None of them really went crazy. Shakir had 70 yards. Curtis Samuel, probably his best game of the season. He only had 58 yards, but he did have that touchdown.
Yep.
And Amari Cooper, obviously those 2 big throws were huge. He ended up with 55 yards on just 2 catches, which was electric. He was electric.
I will say, like, that's, fantasy doesn't do it justice, but both of those plays were absolutely imperative to, I'm pretty sure, 2 scoring drives from Buffalo.
Every time he did that, we scored.
So, I mean, that's what we got him to do, and certainly when Keon Coleman comes back, we'll feel his presence even a little bit more.
I think so.
Because, it frees up Keon, but... there's nothing that I can really complain about, maybe besides the rushing, but then again, Kansas City's so good, so I'm not going to sit here and complain about that. The Bills played a flawless game for me. Yeah,
and I really thought it would come down to like, they're in field goal range and they can't get it because Harrison Butker's hurt, so they're going to blame it on that or some like stupid play, but no, we just kind of proved that we're the better team, won by 9 points. That's not just something that happens, So, like, very, very happy with the outcome. Mahomes obviously still doesn't look that great. 2 interceptions, 3 touchdowns, but only, like, just shy of 200 yards. So, not the game you really want out of him, who, was up there for MVP for a little bit, which, whatever. He's not having a good year. Allen continues to prove that he's the most valuable player in the league and at least the most valuable player on the team. I got nothing else. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go to Ravens Steelers.
Again, another MVP, an MVP guy who's putting up all the stats, all the numbers, but how can you say he's an MVP if he can't win in the division?
He can't, and that makes them now the Steelers. That is 8-2 in the last 10 meetings with Baltimore. Mike Tomlin dominates this matchup, and the Steelers get it done with 6 field goals.
6 field goals. Same amount of field goals they had week 1 against the Falcons. So, not great, but it doesn't matter. Their defense steps up.
Yeah.
Lamar continues to struggle. Justin Tucker can't make field goals. The receivers can't catch. The run game doesn't really get going. Henry had one of his worst games. Which isn't really saying much because he still put up good numbers. This is what we saw against the Browns when they lost.
Yeah.
If the Bengals didn't have such a terrible defense, we probably would have seen the same thing against the Bengals. I mean, I don't know. I can't say Lamar's out of. Obviously, he's still the MVP front runner, but it's hard to look at this and say, okay, well, our 2 MVP front runners, all 3 of our MVP front runners, so it's Josh, Joe Burrow, and Lamar. Joe and Lamar both lost. I mean, Joe's putting up insane numbers while still losing. I can't really say much about that, but
I feel bad for Joe Burrow right now, honestly.
But it's like you look at that and you're saying, well, they're still losing. Josh is not. He's putting the team, and it's not like we have this great defense. I mean, our defense has had 11 turnovers, and a turnover in all 11 games. So
yeah, I mean that helps out a lot. But when you think about how incapable we are of stopping the run sometimes, we are a defense with a certified weak spot, right? But again, turnovers are kind of the name of the game for Buffalo right now, making up for a lot of the weakness.
Yeah, and every single receiver on the Ravens was held below 40 yards except Isaiah Likely. And it's not like Isaiah Likely had this boom game, but that doesn't help. That really doesn't help.
No.
I don't really know what else I can say about we saw. I think this is the best week for the Josh Allen MVP lovers because we saw Josh Allen prosper against one of the best teams in the league, and you saw the other 2 MVP candidates kind of struggle a little bit. I shouldn't say Joe's struggling, but we saw them lose. I don't think Joe will win it just based on his record, but we saw at least Lamar Jackson struggle.
Yeah, and I think the Steelers kind of unlocked something. Yeah, it's a divisional game. It's a little different. But the Steelers unlocked, if you can stop Derrick Henry, if you can keep him under 15, 20 carries, then it's hard for them to get their pass game going. They can't get that, east-west, both sides of the field once they are done, running it right up the gut with Derrick Henry. And, you saw that with Zay Flowers, who only had 2 catches. And, think about how involved he is some weeks. The Steelers, they know how to play the Ravens, that's for sure.
Yeah. I've got nothing else on that one.
No, me neither.
I do want to move to the other MVP candidate that I mentioned, Mr. Joe Burrow. He's putting up crazy numbers. He was 28 for 50, 356 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Their run game is just non-existent. So I understand why he's throwing it so much. But what changes do you have to make? What changes do you make if you're the Bengals right now?
Man, it's got to be all on the defensive side of the ball for me. I can't really think of a specific change that needs to take place. Maybe it's a coaching change. Maybe it's just they need to do more to be able to stop both the run and the pass. I mean, you need to bring in some guys at this point. And, Joe Burrow is doing his thing. All they had to do was, keep teams from scoring 25 plus. And Joe Burrow wins a lot of games this year.
Yeah, seriously.
And this offense is just so explosive. If I'm correct, this is T. Higgins' last year, or he's on just a 1 year.
They signed him to. I think they franchise tagged him.
Franchise tag him for a year. Is that
So they're paying him like league average to have a 1-year deal. He does not want to come back, and they don't have the money to bring him back.
And he's kind of what makes this offense ultra explosive, right?
Yeah.
Having Jamar helps, but when they're both in the game, you can see either one of them put up over 150 yards. We saw this past week. T. Higgins had 148 receiving yards. Jamar Chase had 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
I mean, having both of them helps them out so much, but now they're a 7-loss team. And in all honesty, with the way the AFC is shaping up, there's not always room for a 7-loss team in the playoffs, and we still have a long ways to go for the Bengals, and it's kind of unreal to see that they might miss the playoffs. They probably will.
Yeah, they're on track to miss the play. I mean, the Steelers and the Ravens are at the top of that division. I would find it very, very, very difficult for the Bengals to move their way up that division. They would, best case scenario, finish 3rd and be a wild card team. But I don't even think they can,
I'm not sure if that'll even happen.
No, this defense is really bad. I think Zach Taylor's out after this year. If you put up these numbers and you still lose, it's just not going to happen. But if you want to talk about a coaching masterpiece, let's look at the other side. I mean, the Chargers, Jim Harbaugh?
Jim. Yeah, Jim.
There's too many Harbaughs now. I can't. They should switch that up a little bit. Like, couldn't one of them be named like Zach or something?
Yeah.
Anyway, but Jim Harbaugh coming from Michigan. This team looks great. Justin Herbert finally kind of proven haters wrong. Like, he was kind of the biggest what if in the league right now. He still doesn't have a lot of team to work with. I mean, their defense isn't great. Their receivers aren't that good. Their running back, J.K. Dobbins has been very good this season, but Herbert leads the team in yards this game with 65 on the ground.
Yeah.
But J.K. Dobbins has 56 on 11 carries. That's not terrible. He just does 2 touchdowns. Of course, the one to win the game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're winners of 4 straight now.
Yeah, and this was a truly impressive win for a team. You're playing a team going into this game that's 4-6. This is probably the most impressive 4-6 team you're gonna play. And they come out winning this game, scoring 34 points. I did not have that on my bingo card for that game.
They almost gave it away, but they figured it out. Looking forward at their schedule, it's tough. They play the Ravens next week. We're going to talk about that for sure. Falcons, who haven't looked good, but still tough matchup, I would say. The Chiefs, always not fun to play a divisional Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
Buccaneers, Broncos, and then you end the season with the Patriots and the Raiders.
Okay.
They're probably a playoff team.
Yeah, I can smell 2 wins in there at least. You say Patriots, Raiders at the end of that, and those games will help out. And now it's really just how can we win 1 or 2 of those other games?
They can beat the Bucs. They could probably beat the Falcons at this point. They could probably beat the Broncos. I mean, these are winnable games. I wouldn't say they're completely out against the Ravens or the Chiefs. And honestly, the Chiefs looks very beatable.
Yeah.
So, this is a playoff team. I really like where they're going. This is a big win for them, despite, like you said, beating a 4-7 opponent. But this is a big 4-7 opponent. I like where the Chargers are headed. And I think if you're a Chargers fan, if you are, you should be very happy with this team. I'm very happy with this QB coach duo right now.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Do you want to continue on our journey of these games from this past week?
Yeah, let's do it. I want to talk about another kind of divisional matchup that everybody kind of thought was going to go the other way. I shouldn't say everybody, but most people kind of thought, hey, it's the Niners and the Seahawks. Maybe the Niners will not be at 500 for some time in the season, but Purdy's unable to get it done again. I shouldn't say Purdy. He hasn't looked terrible. I know a lot of people are kind of putting this one on him, but the whole team just didn't get it done.
Yeah.
And he struggled without Kittle. Again, sub 200, touchdown, interception. Jawan Jennings is your leading receiver. Debo, they paid him a ton of money. He hasn't produced at all. Pearsall's has no catches, huge check, whatever. But You get CMC back, and you're like, okay, maybe this is the missing piece we needed. It's not. I don't know what the missing piece is. What do they change?
I don't know. I'm dumbfounded. This is still a really good football team, in my opinion. For me, it would just have to be the efficiency of the run game, right? You see CMC average, over 4 yards a carry, which is by all means still pretty good.
Yeah.
However, there's probably a lot of games from last year where he averaged about 7. You know what I mean?
Right.
He's not having the explosiveness in the games that he needs to have explosiveness,
right.
especially because Seattle hasn't necessarily defended the run very well so far this season.
No, they haven't. And they haven't run the ball very well either. K9 kind of very limited on the ground. Again, 14 carries, 54 yards. He did have a touchdown, but under 4 yards a carry, that's not going to get it done. They used him in the pass game, just not, again, two teams that should use their running back more in the pass game and just didn't this week. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to say. They're at 500. They need to change something.
Yeah, and I mean, the Seahawks, this was just a massive win. Talk about Geno coming down the field, scoring with 12 seconds left, and targeting Jackson Smith and Jigba a lot in that game, especially on that final drive. He had a couple crucial catches just to get them into the range where they could score a touchdown to seal the game. How happy are you with the fact that you kind of have this receiver room that's really good on the Seahawks, that's producing even with Geno Smith, who's right around
He's average.
Little above
He's playing
average,
better
maybe.
than Mahomes this season. We found that out last episode. Yeah. Jackson Smith and Jigba, I mean, the future's very bright. I could have told you this kid was going to be really good when they drafted him. Coming out of Ohio State, he was probably the top wide receiver in his draft class. And I don't know if the Seahawks necessarily needed him, but it was a good pick for them. I do like the added depth. Tyler Lockett's getting old.
Yeah.
DK Metcalf, obviously, is still producing at a very high level, but one of the best wide receiver duos in the league. It looks bright. I mean, realistically, the future looks very bright for them. Kenneth Walker's very young. JSN's very young. DK's still very young.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, Kenneth Walker, Zach Charbonnet, that's a good duo.
Yeah.
And the defense is getting better. I don't know if they'll be a playoff team. Both of these teams are at 500. It's just I don't know.
It's hard to tell.
I don't know where they're gonna go.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're gonna go up. I don't know if they're gonna go down. Geno Smith kind of has to figure some things out on his own. He didn't have a touchdown, but he did have an interception this game.
If you want to have an optimistic look at it for Seahawks fans, they dropped their leading tackler last week, and
their center retired,
and your defense plays better maybe.
Yeah.
So maybe it was just one of those locker room things, right? You get past that, you move forward as a team. Those things can make you stronger when you get past a rough patch, especially as a team where maybe not everyone's getting along.
Mm-hmm.
And you beat a tough divisional opponent. You're still looking up at the Cardinals, but by all means, this division is not over at all, and it's not even close. It won't be close to over till the last week of the season, I believe.
And Seahawks play the Cardinals this week, I believe.
Yes, they do.
And that's going to be if the Seahawks can win that one, that's going to be their big game. That'll be their defining game. They'll be able to make the playoffs, I think, if they can get that one. But we'll see. We'll see how this whole NFC West is very confusing. Not sure what to think of any of the teams. But we got to move on.
Yeah.
Going back to the AFC here.
Yeah, why don't I give you... We got 4 games here, and give me a quick rundown. What are the big takeaways that you have from each one of these? Let's start.
I'll give you a quick rundown. So,
Eagles, Commanders.
Eagles? Yeah, we'll do Eagles. Eagles smack the Commanders. I think this is a big wake-up call for the Commanders. Eagles are the real deal. A lot of people were very skeptical about how good they actually are. Saquon Barkley is that guy. I don't know how, if you're a Giants fan, you feel about that. I know you feel terrible. I don't know if you're Joe Shane, how you get rid of this guy. He's playing insane. Jaden Daniels continues to look a little bit worse and worse. But again, this is a divisional game. He's looking to bounce back next week. But again, nothing. We talked about this before. He's playing very mistake-free football. Obviously, he had that one interception, but nothing you can really bring back to him. But he's not really playing explosive football either. He's playing very safe. Mm-hmm. Dan Quinn is a defensive-minded coach. He doesn't like to see his team lose by 2 scores. I can tell you that. And I don't. At the end of that game, maybe I'm the only one thinking this, but they have 2 timeouts. It's around the 2-minute warning, so it's 2:40 left. They're in Eagles territory. If they score in those 30, 40 seconds, they have the 2-minute warning, and they have 2 timeouts. So they give the Eagles the ball back. Mm-hmm. They take the 2-minute, 2 timeouts. You get the ball back.
That saves you from having to do an onside kick.
Right. It was just they were running the ball under 3 minutes. They were just letting the clock go.
Yeah.
I think they finally scored to make it 26-18. They scored with 40 seconds left. And at that point, it's why? Well, what's the goal here? I mean, I know you're trying to try an onside kick, but that feels like the worst of the 2 options. That's the only thing very bad that I saw in this game. It really should have been 26-10-ish Eagles. Eagles are a top team in the NFC right now.
Yeah, just wanted to echo Saquon Barkley ends that game pretty much. Just totally takes the wheels off that one, and the Eagles come away with a big win. So let's keep it going. I got another very close game. Packers-Bears. What's the main takeaway from this one?
Bears fans, if you know a Bears fan, reach out to them. Tell them you love them. Tell them it's going to be okay. Again, you look down the stretch for Bears. This is their first divisional game. They have to play the Vikings 2 more times. Yeah. They have to play the red-hot Lions twice. They have to play the Packers again. That's terrible. That is up there with the worst rest of the I think it actually is the worst rest of schedule. They fired their offensive coordinator, and they look better. They got unlucky. They just barely tipped the kick to block it. Nothing you can really do. If you're a Bears fan, this isn't the worst loss, but you are. It's not the worst loss in terms of things are looking better, but it is the worst loss in the fact that the Packers still can say they own you. And if you're a Bears fan, it's just you wanted to win this one really bad, and it got blocked.
Yeah, definitely a very Bears way to lose that game.
Yeah.
As you said, just wanted to echo, reach out to your Bears fans.
But you scored a touchdown this game.
Yeah.
First time in 3 games, so you did it. New OC looks good. I'll take that.
Actually, from what I've seen, a lot of Bears fans were expecting that kick to be blocked anyways. They're used to that kind of thing. So
yeah, hit the middle upright and bounced out. That's rough.
Anyways, to keep it rolling, I have 2 more games. One of them you very much so, I know, do not want to talk about it. So why don't we just get it out of the way real quick. Broncos 38, Falcons 6. Ryan, what happened?
We have one of the worst defenses in the league. It's really sad to say because there's so much talent on that defense, but there's no pass rush. I can't really blame the GM all too much. I think we should have got someone at the trade deadline, but it's not his fault, And we were working out a deal for, I want to say it was Aziz Ojulari from the Giants, but it just didn't go through or something. I don't know. I saw maybe a report about that. I'm trying to stay hopeful, right? But our defensive coordinator loves to play this soft, weak, let him have the underthrow zone. There were multiple times in this game where our defense gets them to 3rd down and they drop 20 yards. And now we're back in first and we're reeling. And we just kept doing that. A defense could not stop anything. That's terrible for the momentum. Kirk cannot get anything going back there because the pass rush is getting to him so fast. If I'm taking 2 things out of this, it's that we should fire our defensive coordinator. Jimmy Lake, it's over. I know you're friends with the head coach, but you're very bad. You're very, very bad. And the O-line needs to figure it out. It's not like the Broncos have really good pass rushers. When we played the Steelers week 1, I was like, okay, it's TJ Watt. He's going to blow up the game. That's going to happen. Kirk couldn't get settled in the pocket. He couldn't get anything going. And then you're like, okay, well, why don't we just run it? And Bijan ran the ball really well. But when you're down, 3, 4 scores even at some point, you can't just keep running the ball.
Yeah, no, you definitely can't.
Yeah, I think that's where we were at. And it's a bad loss. It's a really bad loss. We go into the bye week losing 38-6. We need to bounce back in 2 weeks. And if we don't, I don't know. I still say we want to take the division, but we're going to get bounced in the first round.
Yeah, you guys are definitely scrambling right now. You saw Javonte Williams, who only had 1 carry the week prior against the Chiefs, come out blazing hot. Again, that's defensive line. That's their area of expertise, where they aren't getting pressure on the quarterback, and they also aren't tackling the running back early on in these downs. So lots to figure out there. I'm sure you're scrambling right now if you're head coach. What are you thinking right now?
Cortland Sutton played very well. Devon Vele? I've never heard of him until this week, but he had 4 catches for 66 yards. He absolutely just torched our defense. Our nickel corner's out. Our middle linebacker's out. Our corner 2 is out. The secondary is banged up at the end of the day. Clark Phillips is probably the worst corner I've ever watched play for the Falcons in my life. He gave up majority of these yards. Richie Grant's pretty terrible too. I don't know. We need to get these guys back. Hopefully, you take the bye week, you bring them back. But that's not the problem. It is the problem. The problem is that we were playing this soft zone, letting them just throw all over us, and we have too much talent on the defense to really waste it. One bright thing I can take out of this from the Falcons, Michael Penix went in at the end of the game, and he actually looked very good.
Nice.
Not very good. I would say he looked very intriguing. I would say I look forward to when he gets to play.
Yeah. No, I think a lot of Falcons fans feel the same way, but definitely not holding back against your team there. One last game that we don't have to spend as much time on, but still notable. The Colts win 28-27 against the Jets. What's the message here? What do people gather from this game real quick?
Well, when you fire your head coach who's very defensive-minded and your defense gets worse, that's usually not a good sign. The defense has looked the worst it's looked in probably 4 years. It looked better even when they had a really terrible offense. Aaron Rodgers still just looks terrible. I'm sorry. If you're a Jets fan, there's not really much to look forward to. Anthony Richardson gets his first start, gets it done. He has 2 rushing touchdowns and a passing touchdown. Jonathan Taylor can't really get much going, but he still looked fine. I think you can mark this one off and say, yep, the Jets, they've collapsed. Yeah. This is their collapse. Aaron Rodgers getting sacked at home to end the game is not what you want. No, the Jets are. It's over.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers officially the worst winning percentage quarterback out of the last 5 years or so for the Jets. Definitely not what you wanted the narrative to be going into this season, but that's what it's turned out to be.
Yeah.
Not sure if there's any answers for the Jets right now.
Yeah, defense is terrible now, and the offense is terrible now. I don't know. If you know a Jets fan, reach out. Tell them you love them. That's really all I can say. Let's move on to the fantasy. We wrapped up our game recaps here. I did pretty well in fantasy last week. I won't lie. I got majority of my starts and sits. I'm 15 for 21. You, sir, are 13. You are 14 and a half for 23. I'm sorry. I'm 15 for 23. I can't read. I'm 15 for 23. You're 14 and a half for 23. That's not too bad.
Yeah, I've been backpedaling a little bit in my fantasy starts and sits.
You were pretty perfect for the first couple of weeks here. I'm not gonna lie.
I got to step it up. That's what the message is, and I aim to do that starting this week. Last week I wasn't as on top of it. This week I was ready. I've got some great guys. Do you want to start at quarterback here?
Yeah, let's do it. You want to start? You want me to start?
You can go ahead and give me your start and sit at quarterback.
Yeah, why not? Jaden Daniels, I'm taking him to start this week. He's playing the Cowboys, who are very bad. You said it last week. The Cowboys are very bad in every aspect of football. They're 28th against the QB, terrible against the pass. terrible against the run, which we know Jaden Daniels can do. This is his bounce back week. I think you start him this week. And for sit, I feel bad doing it, but Anthony Richardson, leave him on the bench.
Yeah.
He put up 28, 29 points this week, and that's very good. But he's playing the Lions. It's not going to happen again. Leave him on the bench another week. Then you can start him. How about you?
I have one warning for you starting Jaden Daniels. Obviously, he's been a better fantasy quarterback than Stroud. However, I did say to start Stroud against the Cowboys, and he just didn't end up throwing for a touchdown. I mean, they still played a great game, but only 10 fantasy points. I can't count that as a correct pick in my
Stroud
book.
just...
He hasn't been a great fantasy quarterback
been very good, no.
all year. However, he did have that one massive play with Nico Collins taken back. That probably would have fixed the week for me. However, my start for quarterback is going to be Justin Herbert. I think this is a Harbaugh matchup right here.
Yeah.
We got Harbaugh against Harbaugh, and he's playing a bad Ravens defense. We just talked about how well Harbaugh coached the Chargers to a win last week. And now we have kind of the same thing against the Bengals and Ravens. We talked about having similar flaws in their defenses, and that should be an exciting matchup. I think you can give Justin Herbert a start this week, depending on who's on bye. There's probably Josh Allen on bye for a couple of you guys, so maybe Justin Herbert slides in that spot pretty well. And then I would sit Sam Darnold. Couple rough weeks, very startable when the year started.
Yeah.
Kind of as we're going along, he plays Chicago first against quarterbacks in points allowed. So they've played teams pretty tough. I wouldn't say Sam Darnold gets a start this week for me. Now, running back for you, starts and sits?
This one's got a big question mark on it, but I want to say start Isaiah Pacheco. I think he comes back next week. If he comes back. Start him against the Panthers, who we know, very, very bad against the run. If he comes back, start him. If not, take Kareem Hunt again. That'll be my start a Chiefs running back this week. Let's do that. Just don't forget about Isaiah Pacheco. If he's available, if you have him on IR, take him off, start him. Sit. I got the other side. Chuba Hubbard. Do not start him against the Chiefs. Again, very, very good against the running back. We saw how they limited James Cook besides those 2 touchdowns. He's looked very good. I'm not going to lie. He has been the shining point of their offense, but I would say leave him on the bench. Just leave him one more week. It's not going to hurt you.
Unless you want to bank on Chuba Hubbard scoring 2 touchdowns like James Cook.
I don't know if the Panthers are even going to get 2 touchdowns in this game, so I wouldn't bank off that.
No, because as we saw last week, James Cook, without those 2 touchdowns, really didn't do much at all.
Yeah. The Panthers could do one of the greatest favors for the rest of the NFL and beat the Chiefs, but I just don't see it happening.
No, I don't either. Now for me, running back, I'm going to start Ramondre Stevenson. I think with a divisional opponent, this game stays generally close, maybe a little closer than you'd want to if you're a Dolphins fan.
Yeah.
I think they generally kind of play close to the Patriots here and there, even though they're not supposed to. They usually, are supposed to blow this team out of the water, but I think it's close enough where Ramondre Stevenson will get plenty of reps. Dolphins haven't been that great against the run, and if Ramondre can get involved in the pass game too, that'd be great. However, a risky start there because he's the Patriots running back.
Yeah.
Right. So taking a gamble on that one. However, I'm sure there are some people out there saying, should I start him at flex or not? So hey,
if you need to do it, there's a lot of people on the bye this week. You got to remember that.
Yeah, that's true. Right. And then I'm gonna sit Najee Harris. He's been pretty touchdown dependent. He definitely gets his 15 carries for 65 yards every single week. Pretty much.
Yeah, that's pretty much all.
You can sprinkle in 2 receptions for 10 yards, and then you got 9, 10 fantasy points. If he scores a touchdown, he'll be worthy of a start. However, I don't see him scoring against a really good Browns defense against the run.
Yeah.
So that's who I'd be sitting at running back this week.
I like that one, actually. I didn't even think about Najee Harris. I guess I kind of just overlook him most of the time.
Yeah. What about you? Wide receiver, start, sit?
Hear me out, and this is kind of a risky one. DJ Moore against the Vikings. we saw him get more involved with his new OC. He was very, very bad the past couple of weeks. But, like I said, he put up like 13, 14 points this week. We saw him be the focal target for Caleb Williams in this new offense. And the Vikings are the 30th against wide receivers. They don't cover their secondary is not very good. They don't cover receivers very well. DJ Moore, he's looking for one of those explosive weeks, and I think hopefully this will be it. But for sitting, and this is kind of a rough one too, I'm not going to lie, but I want to say sit Nico Collins again against the Titans. He really hasn't put up the production numbers you want him to, and the Titans are very good against the receiver. We saw how they limited Justin Jefferson this week. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a tough one for him. And C.J. Stroud, like I said, just hasn't been playing that well. So I would say sit him for now.
Yeah, or at least temper those expectations.
Right. We like to say that a little bit.
Yeah. Because some guys, it's really just hard to put them on the bench. It's impossible.
Yeah.
Now, for me, I'm going to start. It's going to go hand in hand with my quarterback. Ladd McConkey, I believe he had some injury problems in their last in the game on Monday. I think maybe he just missed a series or something quick like that. He should be fine to go. Sometimes I pick people that don't end up playing. So I just want to throw that disclaimer out there. He might have like a tiny little something. I don't know. It has to be on my radar.
Yeah, well, I took Isaiah Pacheco, so you can just be like, okay, if he doesn't start, you can go to Q.
Yeah.
Quentin Johnson.
Yeah, pick up Quentin Johnson if Ladd McConkey for some reason doesn't play. But again, this should be a Baltimore secondary that gets ripped apart if Justin Herbert plays as well as he did against the Bengals.
Which he probably will.
Which he probably will. And then in that same game, I'm actually going to tell you to sit Zay Flowers, or at least, as we say, temper your expectations.
He hasn't been good.
He hasn't been very great. He's pretty high up there in terms of, I think he's like, top 10 wide receiver in scoring this year. He's had some big weeks. He's had, ever since the acquisition of Deontay Johnson, he's been a little bit more quiet. However, you haven't necessarily seen Deontay Johnson
do anything.
Explode necessarily. So it's just what it comes down to is this Ravens offense can be weird. You know, there are some times where Lamar ends the first half only throwing 8 passes, right? So sometimes they're just too run heavy. I think this might be an instance. And if they do pass the ball, I think they're going to lean a little bit more on spreading it out, make sure everyone's involved. We've seen Mark Andrews get more involved in the last few weeks, and even Isaiah Likely last week in particular.
Yeah, they have thrown to the tight end quite a lot. Zay Flowers had that really bad drop. Actually, a bad couple of drops last week, too. So,
yeah.
Doesn't look good, but let's move on to our next segment here, right? Yeah. Let's get into our Thanksgiving special a little bit.
This is the Thanksgiving episode,
right?
Yeah,
I'm thankful for you, James. I'm thankful for you being here.
I'm thankful for this show. I'm thankful that you have me on every week. So, that's one thing to be thankful for.
Exactly. Look at us. Who would have thought? But let's get into what each team is thankful for this year. I have all 32 teams here. We'll kind of breeze through this a little bit. We can talk about some things, but I'm going from A to W here. I'm going in alphabetical order.
All right.
So, of course, we got to start with the Arizona Cardinals. They are very thankful this year for a solid wide receiver 1, plus a healthy Kyler Murray. And you know what? They have a decent defense. I think they're very thankful to be in a weak division with a good team.
That'll absolutely do it.
And my Atlanta Falcons, I think we're very thankful to have Kirk Cousins. I can tell you that I was in pure misery watching that Desmond Ridder play for my team.
Yeah.
And honestly, very thankful to have Michael Penix. And I'm thankful to have a weak division, too.
Yeah, and Penix kind of gives you something to look forward to as well. So, even when Kirk reaches the end of the line, you can pretty much just pick up where he left off if Penix is as good as advertised and you feel good about him.
And he's sitting, he's learning. I think Kirk plays this year and next year, and then Penix will take over, I want to say. We'll see how it goes. Well, you want to do the next two?
Sure, yeah. I'll do, we got two Bs. We got the Baltimore Ravens. They're very thankful that Lamar Jackson is playing at an MVP level once again, actually still better than last year so far.
Somehow.
And then to echo that kind of on the same wavelength, the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen playing at an MVP level. And I think every Bills fan will say they are thankful that they beat the Chiefs and put that one in the loss column. I think the rest of the league, actually everyone is thankful for the Buffalo Bills, at least right now.
I would say that as well. I think, 100%. Josh Allen is what most people are thankful for. But I'm going to do the C's. Carolina Panthers. I think they're very thankful to have a very good 2021 draft. A lot of teams kind of missed on the 2021 picks. Yeah. I shouldn't say a lot of teams, but a good handful of teams missed on their 2021 picks. Not the Panthers, though. They had two really good picks. They got Chuba Hubbard, and they got J.C. Horn, who is really flying under the radar this year. He's playing like a top 10 corner. Obviously, Chuba Hubbard got signed to that big deal. Those are their two cornerstones. Offense and defense, I would say, is Chuba Hubbard and J.C. Horn. Just to compare, I have a comparison here.
Yeah, that's
J.C. Horn has 36 solo tackles, an interception, 20 receptions on 44 targets. 20 receptions, 44 targets, that's not that bad. He is on a struggling Panthers defense, so you're going to get 44 targets, but only allowing half of those, that's very good numbers.
Less than half.
Yeah. And to put it in comparison, the best corner in the league right now, PS2 has 19 tackles, so less than half of just over half. I'm not very good at math. He has 3 interceptions, which I think, again, JC only has 1, so I think that's why people aren't talking about him as much. And then he has 18 receptions on 24 targets. Again, people just don't throw his way. So it's hard to gauge that. But he is playing at a top 10, maybe top 5 level this year.
Yeah, and I think part of why you see Horn still get thrown at is maybe he doesn't have that that aura that precedes him, right? So as he develops and continues in the league, he's gonna get more and more and more of that, and he'll probably see less people throw his way.
Yeah, and I like where it's going. Panthers, you have something to be thankful for. It's J.C. Horn and Chuba Hubbard. And I'm going to continue with my C's here and go to the Chicago Bears, who really don't have a lot to be thankful about, but I think that in general, the Chicago Bears should be thankful they have loyal fans who stick with them through the ins and outs. They've been very bad for a very long time, and I think they're very thankful to have a new offensive coordinator because their offense has been very bad. The Cincinnati Bengals, they are very thankful to the fact that Joe and Jamar played in college together because I think, and maybe I'm wrong about this, but I think they wouldn't have, A, as good of a connection, and B, in this offseason, that's going to be one of their selling points. They're going to be like, hey, Jamar, you can't leave, man. What about Joe? You can't leave Joe.
Exactly. They're going to head into that meeting for Jamar to sign his extension, and they're just going to play a highlight reel of them at LSU.
Exactly.
It's pretty easy for them.
And the fact that they drafted him based on the fact that Joe Burrow not solely based on the fact, but part of it was that Joe Burrow played with him in LSU.
Yeah.
They're very thankful that they ended up with these two guys. Let's keep going to the Cleveland Browns. Yeah. Again, a team with not much to be thankful for, but I think they can be thankful that they didn't lose Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward at the trade deadline. Two of their cornerstones on defense, very, very, very good players, playing the top of their position. That's the word I'm looking for, I think. And obviously, Myles Garrett won Defensive Player of the Year last year. That's something that the Browns can be thankful for, if nothing else.
Yeah, and I'll keep it going with the D's. You got the Dallas Cowboys. They still do have a good cornerstone to their team, bright future. You think about, they have the foundation, right? They just need a couple extra pieces here and there. Part of it's staying healthy. They still have that.
They're the highest paid QB, highest paid receiver, Micah Parsons, maybe?
Yeah.
Maybe. I'll put that as a maybe.
Still, stuff to be thankful for, even though this season hasn't gone the way they want to. I would be especially thankful if they managed to fire Mike McCarthy.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought I was going to put here because I figured he'd be fired by now, but he's not.
No.
I don't know how, but he's not. Jerry Jones, masterclass again.
Yeah,
what else can you say?
Jerry Jones. Clap it up for Jerry Jones. Let me keep it going. We got the Denver Broncos. They finally have their quarterback and a very bright future, right? This is an example of a team that brings in a coach for this rookie quarterback,
Yeah.
pretty much, and it works.
It
I
does. It
feel
works
like that
very
rarely
well.
happens. You know, we were just talking about a couple weeks ago. Matt Eberflus, Caleb Williams. That probably won't last long.
No.
You think about Bryce Young. He didn't last very long with his coach. So they have the foundations of what should be multiple great winning seasons to come. So Broncos fans, even if you manage to miss the playoffs this season, be thankful. You have a lot to be thankful for.
Very bright future.
And then the Detroit Lions. Not much else to say. They're the best team in the NFL for the first time ever in the history of Lions.
Since like 1960. The Lions can be very thankful that they have a good team once again for the first time in 60 years.
Yeah.
So that's really all I can say. I'll do G and H and I here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna skip it because there's no. Anyway,
Yeah.
the Green Bay Packers. They're very thankful to get Xavier McKinney, one of the best safeties in the league right now. If nothing else, they have Xavier McKinney. They have their franchise QB. That's two things to be very thankful about. They're very thankful to the New York Giants for letting him go. Anyway, the Houston Texans. I think they can be very thankful that Nico Collins isn't out for the rest of the season and that he's finally healthy again, and that they're somehow 7-4, despite not really playing the best football this year, losing to the Jets. It's a weird situation, but I think they can be thankful. They're in kind of a weak division with a good QB. Nico Collins is back, and they have a good record. I think that's some things to be thankful about.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the Indianapolis Colts, they can be very thankful that Anthony Richardson was not a complete bust. They benched him for a little bit, got a little nervous, but he's back. He's not there yet. He's right in the middle of being a bust and being good. We'll see how he plays against a very tough opponent next week.
Yeah. Now move on to Jacksonville here. I'll do JKL, maybe.
How many L teams? Oh, we got a lot of L teams.
A lot of L teams. All right. Well,
you could just do Jank.
I'll do JK. We'll figure it out from there. So, Jacksonville Jaguars, Brian Thomas Jr. He's turned out pretty good.
He's turned out great.
He's turned out great, actually. Sorry, not pretty
Probably
good.
the best receiver in his class.
Yeah, no doubt about that, even though they've had some problems just being good.
Yeah. That is the big problem, but...
we're talking about, again, that's someone you can build around. You're going to have him for a couple more years, so please, build around him. Don't make him demand a trade and want to get up and leave.
Right.
Now, the Kansas City Chiefs, they're 9-1. Nick Bolton is wonderful. He's everywhere, actually. He managed to stop quite a few Buffalo runs very early, just manages to teleport to where the ball is. So
yeah, I'm not against saying he's the best linebacker in the league right now. He might be. He's very, very good. And the fact that they are 9-1, just extremely lucky. Blocked kicks, toes just being out, just the fact that they are 9-1, good for them, I guess. They can be thankful about that.
Yeah.
But they are 9-1 for a reason.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on to their division here. The Las Vegas Raiders. You know what? They can be thankful that they had 2 good picks in 5 years. They had Max Crosby in the 4th in 2019 and Brock Bowers this year. That's 2 solid picks.
Some of these are a little backhanded.
Lie. For the Raiders, there's not much you can be thankful for. I'm not going to lie. They have a nice stadium.
Yeah.
They do. They have a very nice stadium.
Yeah, I saw it a couple of years ago. It's very
Really?
It looks really nice, yeah.
Yeah, so that's something. Max Crosby and Brock Bowers. That's really it. Los Angeles Chargers. They have a new head coach, and Quentin Johnson is not a bust. Everyone thought he was.
Yeah.
And you know what? They have a franchise QB. Mm-hmm. Why not?
Kind of rejuvenated where he's at. So good to see that. I'd be thankful.
I would be very thankful. I mean, you're top of the league right now. Not top of the league, but one of the top teams in the league right now. And, you didn't really have a great season last year. Anyway, the Los Angeles Rams, the other LA team, they have, and maybe I'm glazing a little bit here, but they have one of the best, drafting-wise, GMs in football. Les Snead is the GOAT when it comes to drafting. He hasn't had a first-round pick in, like, since they got Jared Goff, right?
Mm-hmm.
They haven't had a first-round pick since from 2016 to 2023. They finally had their first-round pick this year. And you know what? He's up there for Defensive Rookie of the Year. I'm going to go over it here.
All right.
2014, round 1, Aaron Donald. 2015, round 2, Rob Havenstein. 2016, round 1, Jared Goff. It's a good pick. I know they got rid of him. It's a good pick still. 2017, round 3, Cooper Kupp. 2019, round 2, Taylor Rapp. 2022, round 5, Kyron Williams.
Yeah.
2023, round 3, Kobe Turner and Byron Young. 2 very, very solid defensive players. 2023, round 5, Puka Nacua in the 5th round. And 2024, this year, round 1, Jared Verse. Round 2, Braden Fisk. And round 3, Cam Kinchins. That is a very, very good GM.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
I think given what he's been dealt, he's just done
Exactly.
very, very well. You know, it's rare you find 3 of the main options on your offense after round 2.
Yeah.
Right? So, tremendous job. I remember Kyron Williams was looked at as, I think, like the least athletic running back in that draft class.
And he did get hurt, but he came back, and he's top 5.
He's been ridiculously good, and for a Rams team that just they run the ball very well. You know, they have their receivers are very involved, and they block a lot. So you know, it's a good culture there too.
Oh yeah, and I mean they just won the Super Bowl. I think they can be thankful for that too. So
yeah. So let me continue with the M's. Right, we got the Miami Dolphins. Be thankful Tua's not retiring and not completely brain dead at this point. You know, he's dealt with a fair share of scary head injuries. You know, we don't mean to joke about it necessarily.
Yeah.
However, it is, you know, when you look at it and you see it, he's on national news at like twice a year almost.
Yeah.
For you know, not necessarily bringing good news to football, right? He's been. You know, it's a lot of the bad side.
He's leading the controversy for like head injuries right now.
Yeah. So be thankful that he's still playing, and he's still playing pretty well actually after a couple weeks under his feet. And also thankful that Tyreek Hill didn't get arrested after he
was put in handcuffs. You know.
Yeah, you know, and it wasn't necessarily cooperating, but.
Yeah.
Still, he made it to that game and played.
They're lucky to have their star QB and wide receiver.
Yeah. Exactly. And then the Minnesota Vikings. They have a positive record, and Brian Flores, a lot to be thankful for there. Wes Phillips and Kevin O'Connell, this coaching staff has led the way for them. No one has been remarkable for the Vikings. You know, when you look at their team top to bottom besides Justin Jefferson, and that was a given. You know, you can give Aaron Jones a lot of credit, Sam Darnold a lot of credit, but I think a lot of the credit should go to this coaching staff. You should be very, very thankful for all of them.
Yeah, I completely agree. But we got to move on to the ends here. There's 4 new teams. We got the New England Patriots first. They got Drake May. You know what? He's actually playing very, very high-level football. And you know what? They still have a good defense. They have a new head coach. You know.
Yeah.
You can't. Nothing to really complain about there. You know, this was a rebuild year for them.
Yeah.
But you can be thankful you got your QB, hopefully, and bless you. Whew. And they have a good defense. Let's move on to New Orleans. You know what? The Saints can be very thankful that they signed Alvin Kamara to a contract early in the season, because I don't think he would have came back if he didn't sign this contract and if they weren't playing so well early on.
Yeah.
And I think they can be very thankful that they have a new head coach, because he won them 2 games in a row.
There you go.
Yeah. Nothing more I can say about that. The New York Giants this time. It's tough. There's not really much to be thankful for, but they can be thankful that they have one of the best defensive lines in football, and they have Dexter Lawrence, who stuck around with them, and he's my defensive player of the year so far. And the New York Jets, same thing. Not really a lot to look forward to. I couldn't think of much for this one. But Aaron Rodgers didn't tear his Achilles this year.
In particular, in week 1.
Yeah.
He managed to keep that away.
And they have good receivers. So
yeah.
There's that. You want to take on? Let's do. You want to do P and S?
Yeah, I'll do P and S, and then you can wrap it up.
There we
I'll go Philadelphia Eagles. Be thankful for Howie Roseman. Think about A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts, the rookies that they have on this team, just to name a couple: Cooper DeJean, Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith. A lot of guys that have come in and immediately made an impact. Yeah. Anything else about the Eagles they should be thankful for necessarily?
Quinion Mitchell's leading the defensive rookie of the year. I don't know if he's leading. He's up there for defensive rookie of the year right now. They have just honestly drafted very well the last 3-4 years with him. And I know Jalen Reagor's a big miss, but come on, you gotta give the guy some credit.
Yeah, and just be thankful for the fact that you have one of the most talented rosters in all of football right now. So certainly a team that could win a Super Bowl anytime in the next 5 years. Right?
Seriously, and Saquon now.
Yeah, Saquon too.
Jesus.
Pittsburgh Steelers, they have a decent offense to complement their defense. That's all they've needed for a long time, honestly, under Mike Tomlin. And that's a lot to be thankful for, just reliability for that team. They've been reliable for a long, long time. That takes us into S, the San Francisco 49ers. Be thankful that CMC is back, even though he's not totally back and as strong as ever.
Retiring, I think that's
that there was a lot of talk as he was missing more and more and more time this season where you're thinking, oh, he's got Achilles tendonitis in both feet and everything's crashing and burning. No, he's back, he's gonna be fine, and George Kittle is having another career year after somewhat of a down year last year.
I think he's the best tight end. He's up there for the best tight end in the league right now. Yeah. And he does it all. He blocks, he catches, Yeah,
he's very capable in all facets of the game. And then division rival Seattle Seahawks, a great wide receiver room, and just the fact that Geno Smith has been very serviceable. Someone who can throw the ball to them, who can get them the ball.
I will wrap it up. I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers first. They're very thankful to have Baker Mayfield. And I know that's kind of crazy to say, but they are very thankful to have Baker Mayfield. He has done wonders for them.
Yeah.
And then you got the Tennessee Titans. They're very thankful that they have a 2-8 record because they need that high pick. They really need a high draft pick, and they have a good defense. They're seriously like a QB and an O-line away from being a good team again. Honestly.
Wait, Will Levis isn't the answer?
Moving on to the Washington Commanders. Jaden Daniels, obviously, they're very thankful to have Jaden Daniels. Dan Quinn, and they're very, very thankful that Dan Snyder is finally gone. Finally gone.
It's like they can have a competent organization again.
Seriously. And look what it brought them. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
That will wrap it up for our thanks for each team. Hopefully you enjoyed that a little bit as much as we did. Let's move on, though, to our game of the week and our quick picks. My game of the week this week, I'm taking the Ravens and the Chargers, and that is the, Monday night game. I'm sorry. The other side of the spectrum.
Yeah.
That is the Monday night game. Ravens-Chargers. I really like the matchup. Chargers on a roll. Ravens have kind of struggled. I mean, we'll talk about who we have later, but I think what do you think about this one?
Yeah, I think that has the makings of a very good game. You have one team kind of stumbling into this game, who is the favorite, and then you have the underdog coming in off of a very good performance against a formidable opponent. So definitely the makings of a good game. And for my game of the week, Cardinals-Seahawks manages to be a great game every time. Think back to when Russell Wilson was on the Seahawks, and Cardinals-Seahawks had a competitive game every time it went down.
This feels like it's for the division too.
So it could be, it's gonna be a very telling game.
Let's go to our quick picks though.
Yeah.
I'm losing my voice a little bit here, but it's fine. I am 27 of 40. I went almost perfect last week. And James, you are 23 of 40. You messed up a little bit last week. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm trying to make up some ground. Instead of making up ground, I actually doubled my gap.
Just a little bit, yeah.
Man, taking the risky picks didn't work. So, we're going to try to be a little bit more safe this week. I might change some of these on the fly. I'm not gonna lie. We'll run through.
When we talk about it, that's all right. Let's start with Thursday Night Football. The Steelers and the Browns. Who do you want? I feel like this is obvious, yeah.
I really want to take the Browns, though. I'm not going to. I'm going to say this is a Steelers win. However, think about the last couple years. Mike Tomlin has managed to lose to a couple pretty bad teams, like 2-win teams almost. This could be the perfect trap game. They're in Cleveland.
Yeah.
I could almost see this happening. Jameis Winston going out and throwing for 300 yards or some crap against the Steelers. I'll take the Steelers because,
Yeah,
they're the better team.
I think so, at least. If we go down, if this ends up being a trap game, we're going down together because I'm taking the Steelers as well. So it won't set you back any. But at 1 p.m., I think the best game, I want to take Vikings and Bears because the Vikings have slowed down a little bit, and the Bears, they look promising, So I'm going to take the Bears here. I think they get it together with their new OC and the Vikings. Again, like I said, they're on the downslope right now. I think they get it together and they win this one.
Yeah, I think that's good analysis there. I think the Bears have probably as good a chance as they've ever had to beat the Vikings, given the team they have now and their record. I'm still going to go with the Vikings. I think they might just get it done, kind of ugly.
It's a safe pick, yeah.
I think it might be an ugly game for them again, but manage to get it done how they have in the past few weeks.
Yeah. Let's move on to the 4 p.m. your game of the week here. The Cardinals and the Seahawks. Who are you taking in this one, actually?
I'm going to go with the Cardinals. However, the Seahawks could take that win. They could take that win last week and run with it. You know what I mean? So it's a good chance that they do manage to win against the Cardinals. However, the Cardinals, I think, are the better team. They have a great offense, and I think they could smack a good 20, 25 plus on the Seahawks.
Yeah, and the Seahawks need this win. However, I'm taking the Cardinals. They've been perfect against the division this year. They look very good. I think they need this one to win it. Let's move on to 49ers, Packers. We have separate answers here, which means I'm taking the Niners. You're taking the Packers. Explain to me why you have the Packers here.
Well, it's a home game for the Packers, and it's a really big opportunity for them to kick the Niners while they're down, right?
Yeah.
The Niners haven't been playing their best football, and you can argue that Jordan Love hasn't been playing his best football either. However, I think the Packers can just get it done. I think with how well the Packers defense has played, they'll manage to limit Brock Purdy and CMC in some aspect. I don't think the Niners are going to win this game on the back of Jawan Jennings. I think it's going to happen. They're going to need a little bit more than they have had in the past couple weeks. And I think the Packers get it done in a gritty game.
Yeah. I mean, just based on history, I'm taking the Niners because think of all those NFC Championship games. They completely own the Packers. I just think they keep the streak going. The Packers haven't looked amazing.
No.
I think the Niners need this one too. They don't want to be under 500.
Sunday Night Football.
Yeah, Sunday Night Football. Eagles Rams. That's a solid game. I don't mind this one at all. I'm taking the Eagles. Who do you got here?
I'm gonna do it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna do it. I can't help myself. I managed to, withhold taking the Browns against the Steelers. I'm going to take the Rams against the Eagles. I think the Eagles just played such a good game against the Commanders. They've played a little too well for a couple too many weeks. They need something that knocks them back down a notch.
Yeah.
And me and you were talking in previous weeks, talking about how the Rams, they're a team to look out for. They're going to make a run at the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
They're going to sneak into the wild card, maybe cause some problems. This is a game they need to win to do that. I think, you can't say that the Rams are going to cause some problems without the Rams actually causing some problems. And I think this is going to be a problem that they will cause.
They're either going to make a run for the playoffs or scratch everybody else's playoff runs a little, make it a little bit harder.
Yeah.
Eagles are just on fire right now. The Rams have such a bad defense. I just think that's what's going to hold them back in this one.
They very well could.
Monday night, though, to wrap it up, Ravens, Chargers, my game of the week. I'm going to take the Ravens. James, who do you got this one?
I'm going to take the Ravens as well.
Yeah, good pick.
I did, we both mentioned the Ravens are tumbling into this one and the Chargers are kind of flying into this one. Chargers are the underdog. They come in hot, but I still think the Ravens are going to take this one.
It's going to be a close game, though, I think. I hope.
I would hope it's a close game, too.
If Ravens still want to be, the juggernaut in the AFC, they need this one. And if Lamar wants to be the MVP, he needs this one as well.
Yeah, and it's hard to imagine this team sitting at, what would it be, 7-5 after this game? And
right?
Just think about how well they've played throughout this whole year. 8-4 looks more Baltimore Ravens than 7-5. So I think just my brain needs the Ravens to win this game, even though I believe me, I want the Chargers to take this one.
And they need these out of division games because they're not winning the in division games. So I really do think that they put everything into this game and they do come away with the win. But that will wrap it up for our show today. Thank you so much for watching. As always, this is James and Ryan. We will see you guys in the next episode. Bye-bye.
Peace.